Appeal for your help in tracking down the killer of a young nursing student, Isa Carolin. On holiday from Finland, she was last seen alive on Sunday, the 7th of August last year. That's when she checked out of the YWCA in London and headed off west, probably hitchhiking. Her body was discovered on the Blenheim estate in Oxfordshire, but her rucksack was found 5 miles away, right beside the A40 at Barnard Gate. Did you travel from Oxford to Witney on that Sunday, August the 7th, or see Isa walking along or maybe waiting for a lift? Note the gold shoes, and the blue socks and the white trousers, and that Finnish flag on her blue rucksack, which when found was light of about £100 in Finnish currency. Now markers are fairly unusual. Were you offered any, or did you see anyone trying to exchange some? A recent clue is this anonymous letter, posted from Oxford in January this year. The writer mentions finding a small purse and a thin, waterproof jacket near where Isa's rucksack was found. Did someone you know come back from an afternoon walk with a new anorak? If you can help with the letter, the markers, the rucksack, or if you recognise Isa, please call us. Who travelled through Shropshire during March and might unwittingly have given a lift to a murderer. It was on March the 21st that Hilda Murrell, an international expert on roses, was stabbed and left to die a few miles from the house in Shrewsbury where she lived alone. It may be that when she came home from shopping she disturbed a burglar. At any rate, she was taken on a bizarre ride in her own car through the surrounding countryside. Witnesses say they saw a man driving erratically with Miss Murrell slumped in the front seat. The car, a white Renault 5, was found in a ditch 6 miles away at Huntington, and in a field about 500 yards away was Miss Murrell's body. This knife is believed to have been used in the attack. Miss Murrell was 79. As well as needing more information from local people, we're widening our appeal to motorists passing through the area who could have dropped Miss Murrell's killer on the A5 near her home before the murder, or given him a lift away from the scene, perhaps along the A49 north towards Cheshire, on the Newport Road, westward along the A5 towards Wales, or even east towards Telford and the M6. If you remember giving anyone a lift in Shropshire on that day, please call us in confidence here at Crimewatch UK.
Now,
Yiannoulla Yianni, a 17-year-old Cypriot girl, was raped and strangled 2 years ago this week at her home in Belsize Road, Hampstead, London. We believe the murderer is also responsible for the desecration of her grave, which began last October, almost a year after her death. The grave is in the New Southgate Cemetery in North London. Yiannoulla's parents noticed that the oil lamp below the cross at the grave had been interfered with. The wick had been removed over 40 times. The desecration actually happened on one occasion while the grave was under police surveillance, using infrared cameras, and yet the film revealed nothing. The Metropolitan Police have used the newly developed BBC Crimewatch video fit system to improve this photo fit of a man seen following Yiannoulla near her home shortly before she died. With the help of the witness and the investigating officer, we've brought it much closer to the witness's original memory by adding colour to the eyes, skin and hair. He's described as 5'6" tall, in his late teens or early 20s, possibly of Greek Cypriot origin and also possibly with a moustache. The video fit shows us what he'd look like without the moustache too. Much younger, in fact nearer the age the witness remembered him to be. Do you know anyone who looks like this? Have you seen anyone behaving suspiciously in or around New Southgate Cemetery?
and Avon and Somerset Police have asked Crimewatch to help them with a vital new lead. The victim, Mrs Beryl Carvell, was found dead in the garage of her home in Widcombe Hill, Bath. She had been stabbed and then bludgeoned to death with a shotgun. Only 10 days ago, Bath Police received an anonymous phone call which they believe to be genuine. The caller claims that the man who murdered Mrs Carvell has a tattoo, a swallow, somewhere on the left side of his face. It may be on his forehead, something like this. Or it could be lower down. Do you know anyone who has this distinctive mark? Please contact us. Another clue. He was sharing a flat somewhere in the Bath area in 1978 with a man called Steve. Police would also like the anonymous caller and Steve to come forward.
3 cases for you tonight. First, a crime which happened late at night near a London Underground station in April this year. The murder of 45-year-old senior Customs and Excise man Anthony Littleler. With the help of a lookalike, we've reconstructed in daylight the events leading up to the crime. On Monday the 30th of April, Anthony Littleler caught the Bank Line tube from London Bridge and arrived at East Finchley Station at 16 minutes past midnight. He was recognised by the station foreman as he passed the ticket barrier. On leaving the station, he crossed the road and set off home down this alleyway opposite the station. Just 6 minutes later, the emergency services received a call from someone who wouldn't give his name. He said a man had been badly injured and was lying in a pool of blood. Coming in such a short space of time, the call could only have been made from one of two phone boxes. This kiosk, which is directly opposite the tube itself, or just 400 yards away at the other end of the alley in Market Place. Did you see anyone making a call at that time, 22 minutes past midnight, on that Monday evening, April the 30th? We'd also like the other passengers on that train to come forward. In particular, a man wearing a black suit and about 6 foot tall. We'd also like to hear from anyone who drank with Anthony Littleler in pubs in the East Finchley area. And of course, all calls will be treated in the strictest confidence. Barbara Pinder, described by her friends as strong-willed and lively. She was strangled, then stabbed 35 times at her home in Battersea in London, sometime between Friday the 26th and Sunday the 28th of October. She lived here at Prince of Wales Mansions in Prince of Wales Drive, and we need to trace anyone who was seen entering the flats during that weekend. Mrs. Pinder lived in flat 24A, and to remind you, that was the weekend that the clocks went back. Many witnesses have already come forward, and two in particular remember seeing 3 workmen enter the mansions at about 10:45 on the morning of Friday, October the 28th. Those 2 witnesses produced this photo fit of one of the men, and here at Crimewatch they were able to improve on the picture to produce this video fit. The man was about 5'9", 35 to 40 years old, and wore a red jumper. One of his 2 colleagues wore blue overalls, and the men were carrying tools. Later that morning, 3 other men were seen in a green van outside Prince of Wales Mansions. We want to hear from anyone who saw that green van, or this man and his 2 fellow workmen. Police in Thames Valley need your help to complete their inquiries into this murder. On Thursday the 18th of October, the burning body of a man was found here in Willets Lane, Denham. It's just off the M40 in Buckinghamshire. We still need to find the victim's car. It was a red Colt Mirage, like this one, and it's disappeared. There's the registration number, A268ARX. At least that's what it was. It could be anything now. Have you seen one like it in your street? We've reason to believe it's still somewhere between London and Buckinghamshire. Remember the number, A268ARX, and ring us if you've seen that car.
Certainly the most difficult we've ever asked your help with. It's 5 years old, and not only are police hunting for a murderer, they're also still trying to find out who the victim is. Forensic scientists have unravelled part of the puzzle. Detectives now want to see if there's anything that you can add. The story starts in Kent. Bedgebury Forest lies between Tunbridge Wells and Hawkshurst, just off the A21. In October 1979, the body of a young woman was found by a horsewoman riding through the forest. The victim had been battered and her face was badly mutilated. There was no handbag, no identification and virtually nothing to go on.
Well, with us tonight is Detective Superintendent Peter Spittles, who's been in charge of the case and has brought in the main clue, the dress that she was wearing there. Superintendent Spittles, how did you try to find out who the woman was?
We did all the usual inquiries through the Missing Persons Bureau at New Scotland Yard, through the social services, through the hospitals and from doctors. We also did a large poster campaign throughout Great Britain and Europe, but we were unable to find any clues as to her identity. So we did in fact call on the services of the pathologist, and he has in fact come up with a number of clues for us.
That's Dr. Peter Vanessa's here. What clues have you turned up?
Well, among the clues, we looked at her teeth. In fact, I have here a demonstration skull, and her teeth, in fact, were very worn down, particularly in the molar region here. She also had wisdom teeth, which actually placed her around about the age of 30 years. In addition, we noted from the examination of her teeth that, in fact, she had never visited a dentist in her life, so her teeth were in a very poor state of repair. In addition, she had no evidence of nicotine staining on her teeth, nor her fingers, which indicated that she was a non-smoker.
Do her lungs bear that out?
Her lungs certainly do bear that out, and also they show that, in fact, that they are very clean, which is indicative of her having lived in the country rather than in the city.
The city lungs are much blacker, are they?
Yes, if we examine a microscopical slide of city lungs, we can see that, in fact, there are quite clear carbon deposits present around blood vessels in this field that we have here.
So she was probably a country girl and a non-smoker.
Yes.
Anything else? I gather she had an ectopic pregnancy.
That's right. When we examined her abdomen, we found that she had this ectopic pregnancy, which, in my view, had been present for about 4 to 6 weeks. But, in fact, it had been bleeding for a period of 2 to 3 weeks. And here we can see quite clearly the area where there are remnants of embryonic tissue. And nearby, as we scan the slide, there is a lot of blood clot of varying ages, which indicates that it had been bleeding for that period of time.
So she must have been in a lot of pain.
Yes, she must certainly have been in a lot of pain, and anybody who was with her or knew her very well would obviously realise that she was very distressed. She may even have visited her doctor and complained possibly of an appendicitis because it was on the right side.
So we're beginning to get an impression of the woman. She was probably about 30 years old, almost certainly a country girl, as I said, and a non-smoker, and she may well have been a mother. Is that right?
Yes, she had obvious stretch marks on her abdomen, clearly indicating that she'd had an advanced pregnancy at some time, and the appearances of the womb also indicate that, so she probably had at least one child.
Right. So, Superintendent Spittles, what have your inquiries added to that now?
The main clue we have is the dress that Josephine Hadlow has at the moment. We took it to her at the Medway College of Design, and she told us that that particular dress is in fact made from a furniture fabric, and it is homemade. It has been made by a woman at home, and it has been altered on at least 2 occasions. One around the hem, and the other time is with darts through the breast area on 2 separate occasions.
So it's not a bought dress, it's a homemade dress, and maybe she wasn't very well off then?
No, we think that it was possibly bought in an Oxfam shop or a second-hand shop, and she could have been living a very poor existence.
So that dress really is crucial, that might lead you
Yes,
to
it's
find out
most
who she was.
important. It's the most important clue we have, and we would like to find either the lady that made it at home or the person that altered the dress.
So we've had an account of this woman's way of life, and we know what she was wearing. Do we have any idea now of what she looked like?
Yes. Again, we asked Dr. Venices for his help in reconstructing the skull, and then an artist's impression was formulated from that, from which we did publish this impression, and we would ask people if they recognise that impression to come forward and tell us who they think it is.
We're not expecting a great deal on this, but if conceivably you think you knew this woman, call us here on Crimewatch UK. And what about the unusual dress? Do you remember making it or altering it? Whatever your information, phone us on 01811 8055, or you can call Kent Police. The number there is Tunbridge Wells 2642. That's 0892 262 42.